Imagine discovering a mysterious gate that, once opened, does not only transport you to another world, but also transforms you from an overweight boy mocked by everyone into an unmatched handsome young man. Can you imagine it? Then let us begin the story. One day there was a young man who despised his life and hated the entire world. His name was Yuya. While walking, he saw 3 thugs harassing a girl against her will. He stepped forward and said, "Leave her alone. No one has the right to speak to her." But they mocked him and beat him mercilessly, showing no restraint, while the girl stared in shock and disbelief, afraid for him, astonished that someone would dare stand up against them. At that moment, the police arrived, and the bullies fled in fear. People rushed to revive Yuya until he opened his eyes and said, "Do not worry about me, I am fine." Then he left the place, as the girl watched him with mysterious admiration in her eyes. As Yuya walked away, he began telling us about his sorrows. "Ever since I was a child, my face has been hideous, so much so that everyone called me a pig. Even my own father and mother mocked my looks constantly, while my younger siblings were far more beautiful than me. When I grew older and entered middle school, things changed. People no longer settled for verbal bullying. They began hitting me simply because they disliked my face. The only person who ever loved me was my grandfather. He always cared for me and encouraged me with his kind words. But unfortunately, he died and left this house in my name. Since then, I have lived here alone, working near school after being abandoned by my father and mother." He said this as tears nearly fell from his eyes. The next day, Yuya went to school. There, everyone continued mocking his appearance, so he ran, trying to escape. Yet they chased him, shouting, "Where are you going, Yuya? Haven't you realized yet that you are our punching bag?" They beat him relentlessly until he was nearly shattered, while his brother and sister watched from afar with utter delight. Yuya returned home broken. He opened a container of instant food to eat, but when his reflection appeared in the soup, he felt disgusted. He threw it away unfinished, muttering to himself that even food mocked him. He stood up and looked into the mirror, but he could not bear the sight, so he punched it until it shattered. Suddenly, beside the broken glass, a hidden door in the wall opened, revealing a secret room that belonged to his grandfather. Yuya entered the room and found many strange items, but what caught his attention most was a peculiar door. He opened it and found a message. "Congratulations, you have been transported to another world." Fear and confusion overwhelmed him, and more messages appeared, explaining that he had gained special powers that he could now use here. While reading, another paper appeared written in a strange language. Instantly, he gained the skill of language comprehension and could read it with ease. The paper said, "I am the owner of this house and garden. Whoever finds this message, the ownership of the house and all within it shall become his. No one may enter or leave this area without his permission." Yuya stood frozen and whispered to himself, "So, this house is mine now? How amazing." Then he noticed a collection of weapons beside him. He picked up a sword and tried to train with it, but he fell to the ground, unable to wield it. At that moment, another message appeared. "Congratulations, you have gained the art of swordsmanship." Suddenly, he knew how to use the blade with mastery. He tried other weapons and learned to wield them all with astonishing speed. He stored them in his tool inventory when suddenly he heard the roar of a monster charging at him. Terrified, Yuya cried, "This is the end for me." Yet the beast could not break through the barrier surrounding the house, and it remained snarling from outside. His hands trembled as he gripped his weapon, but he gathered his courage and hurled it at the monster, piercing it and killing it instantly. The creature's energy flowed into him, unlocking new tools that increased his experience. Gold also fell before him, which he realized he could use in his real-world life as well. Overjoyed, he exclaimed, "So I won't need to work anymore?" Then he returned to his house and fell asleep. When he awoke, he felt his clothes had grown loose on him, but he paid no attention. He did not yet realize he had transformed completely into a strikingly handsome young man. He wanted to look into the mirror, but remembered he had broken it. "Better this way," he muttered, "for I always hated my reflection." Little did he know that his new reflection was beyond belief, an image no mind could fathom. He dressed himself in clothes from the new world and began working in the garden. There, he encountered a monster called the Coffee Beast and slew it with ease. He continued like this throughout the entire holiday, gathering wealth and growing in strength. By the end of the break, he had become much braver and a true master of every weapon. On the last day, he faced a massive, evolved ogre. Yet Yuya defeated it, severing its head in triumph. And from this moment, the true thrill of the story begins. The time for school's beginning arrived, and Yuya checked himself before heading to his class. Everyone who saw him was stunned by his beauty, to the point that some wondered, is this natural beauty or what? But that did not matter. What mattered was that when his siblings saw him, they did not recognize him. And even those who had always bullied him approached and asked, "Who are you, boy? This is the first time we've seen you here. Are you a new transfer student or what?" Yuya was shocked and replied, "A transfer? I am Yuya, the one you beat up every single day." Everyone stood in disbelief and cried, "Impossible, you must be joking." Yuya could not understand what was happening, so he rushed to the bathroom to make sure. The moment he looked into the mirror, he saw that he had become radiant like the moon in his beauty. He trembled in shock, unable to believe his own eyes. Then his siblings came and pulled him aside saying, "You must explain everything to us. How could someone as ugly as you transform into this within just a few days? Speak quickly." But Yuya told them nothing. Deep inside, he was glad, knowing it was all because of his journey to the other world. At that moment, a luxurious car stopped in front of the school, and from it stepped down a girl as radiant as the moon. She called to Yuya and said, "Please, may I speak with you?" Yuya was startled and replied shyly, "But, do you even know me?" She answered, "Yes, I am the girl you saved from those thugs at the supermarket a few days ago." Yuya could not believe that she recognized him despite his new appearance. So he asked, "Then, what do you want from me?" She replied, "First, my name is Kaori. Second, I came today to offer you a place at Osei Academy, the most prestigious and luxurious school in this region." Yuya could not believe what he was hearing and said, "I do not think they would ever accept someone like me." But she answered, "On the contrary, brave people like you are exactly what this school needs." At that point, his siblings intervened saying, "Accept us as well. We are smarter than him and better than him at everything." But Kaori replied with disdain, "In your dreams, I know all your filthy deeds." She firmly rejected them. She then took Yuya with her in the car and brought him to the school. There, he met with the principal. The man said, "I do not know how to thank you for saving my daughter, but as a start, I would like you to join my school." Yuya answered hesitantly, "But I do not possess any talent like the other students here." The principal replied, "On the contrary. When Kaori was surrounded by those thugs, everyone stood by and did nothing, but you alone dared to help her. We need pure-hearted people like you in this school. Do not worry, you will come to love it very much." Listening to his words, Yuya smiled. The principal continued, "And as a token of gratitude for saving my daughter, your school fees will be on me." Then he added, "I will not take much of your time. You will spend the day here at school, and at the end of it, you may give me your opinion." Yuya agreed. At that moment, the door knocked, and the teacher Sawada entered. The principal introduced Yuya to her saying, "This will be your student. Take care of him today." She replied, "Understood." Sawada led him to the classroom. Yuya stood outside, extremely nervous, praying everything would go well. Then, summoning his courage, he walked in and introduced himself before the students. Everyone was struck speechless by his beauty, though none dared to say a word. Yuya, however, did not realize these were looks of admiration, and he remained uneasy and burning inside. He sat at the back of the class, and beside him a girl offered her book so he could follow along. It seemed she would later grow close to him. After the lecture ended, the girls crowded around him, trying to get to know him, but Yuya did not know how to respond. Then a student named Ryo stepped in and said to them, "Leave him to rest. It's his first day." He then took Yuya to the cafeteria and showed him the available food. Yuya was amazed, exclaiming, "My God, is all this food free? This is heaven itself." Ryo laughed and replied, "Stop this nonsense. Come on, let's eat." They sat with another student named Shingo. The three introduced themselves, becoming friends. Yuya loved the place and felt at ease among the people. He finished his school day peacefully and returned to the principal saying, "I know I do not deserve to study here, but after seeing the students and these wonderful people, I now truly want to become a student at this academy." The principal smiled and answered, "I am older and more experienced than you, and I assure you that people like you are exactly what this school needs. As of today, you are an official student here." Yuya was overjoyed. On his way out, he found Kaori waiting for him. She took him along and they walked together through the markets. She showed him the places and Yuya could hardly believe his eyes. They stopped at a restaurant and bought some sweets. As they ate, Yuya asked her, "How did you recognize me even though my appearance has changed so much?" She looked at him in puzzlement and said, "What do you mean?" He explained, "I used to be very overweight, and I am certain that I look completely different now." "So how did you know it was me?" Kaori smiled and replied, "Your eyes. They are still as pure and beautiful as they always were." Yuya's heart trembled, and their bond began to deepen. After a while, he offered her from his ice cream, and she tasted it, blushing. Then she offered him hers, and he ate from it too. Love blossomed between them, and everyone around watched them in admiration. After the day ended, Yuya returned home and prepared to enter the other world. He put on his battlesuit and began fighting monsters, gathering resources. But he noticed his level was rising very slowly. He thought long and hard, then decided to enter the forest once more. Suddenly, he heard a scream. He rushed toward the sound and found many corpses scattered, with a gigantic ogre attacking a girl, about to kill her. Yuya charged at the ogre and hurled his spear, but the monster deflected the strike. Yuya leapt over it and kicked it hard, stunning it. He quickly ran to the girl to check on her, but the ogre attacked from behind. Summoning all his courage, Yuya launched another assault. He jumped above it and unleashed a storm of arrows with his bow. The ogre blocked them, but Yuya drew his sword and with a single decisive slash, split the beast in two. He then approached the girl, who slowly opened her eyes. At that moment, he heard the voices of soldiers searching for her. Yuya hid himself, leaving her for them, and slipped away. And from here, my friend, the true adventures begin. Prepare yourself for the journey. The following day, Yuya was sitting in his house, gazing at his clothes and saying, "This shirt, thanks to its properties, its stats, does not get dirty easily, but it is not elegant enough to wear every day. I shall go to the mall and buy myself some clothes." So he prepared himself and headed to the mall to purchase what he needed. As he walked, his beauty caught the attention of everyone around, to the point that people could not take their eyes off him. Embarrassed, Yuya thought to himself, "Could it be that they are bothered by my appearance? I must quickly buy what I want and leave." Poor Yuya did not realize they were admiring him. At that very moment, a famous photographer named Hikaru was in the mall for a photo session. 2 celebrities were supposed to attend. The girl had already arrived early and prepared everything, but the male model had not yet shown up. The director grew furious, scolding everyone, saying, "The most important part of work is keeping your appointments. Since this boy ignores us and believes himself above all, I must look for someone else." Some replied, "Look for someone else? Come on, it is not easy to find a replacement here in this mall." But the director snapped back, "That is none of your concern. I will handle it myself." Meanwhile, Yuya was carefully selecting clothes that suited him. 2 young women approached, offering to help, their hearts melting from his beauty. Yuya, unsure how to act, politely apologized and walked away. He descended the stairs, while Hikaru was ascending the adjacent staircase. The instant Hikaru saw Yuya, he could not believe his eyes and thought, "What beauty! This is exactly what I need." He hurried after him, explained the situation, and proposed that Yuya join the photo session. Once Yuya learned they needed help, he agreed. The shoot began with Yuya and Mio. Their beauty together enchanted everyone, to the point that people in the mall abandoned what they were doing just to marvel at these 2 shining stars. Yuya, true to his nature, understood nothing and was terribly embarrassed around the girl. Yet with every move they made, the photos turned out more breathtaking, my friend. They continued shooting all day, and Yuya soon realized that modeling was far harder work than he had ever imagined. Meanwhile, in the other world, the girl Yuya had saved regained consciousness. She thought constantly about him, saying, "I am certain I saw the one who rescued me, and I must thank him." Her guards answered, "Thank whom, my lady? No one even lives in that area." But she insisted, "I must go nonetheless." Back in the mall, after the photo session ended, Yuya sat with Mio, speaking with her. He asked, "How are you so skilled at your work? I have never seen anyone better than you." She answered, "I am not skilled at all. Everything comes from persistence and pursuing your goal. If you keep working this way, you will surpass me by far." Yuya's heart rejoiced at her words. Then Mio offered him her handkerchief to wipe his sweat. Yuya thanked her and said, "But this is yours. I should not take it from you." At that moment, Sho arrived, the very male model who was supposed to shoot with Mio. Arrogant and overly confident, he made his entrance. The moment the girls saw him, they screamed in excitement, inflating his ego. He strutted toward Mio, placed his hand on the wall beside her and said, "Why do you not respond to me? Did we not agree to go out together?" Mio blushed and could not react. Then Shu deliberately stepped on her handkerchief. Yuya saw this and grew angry. He stepped forward and said firmly, "The girl does not want you near her. Step back." Shu flared up and retorted, "And what business is it of yours?" He moved to punch Yuya in the face, but Yuya seized his arm and hurled him to the ground before everyone. Shu was humiliated, left half-dressed before the crowd. The girls who had admired him moments earlier turned away from him, their admiration shifting entirely toward Yuya. Sho was ignored by all. "Do you think Hikaru stayed silent, my friend? Not at all." He approached Sho and declared, "Listen, everything that just happened was recorded. From this day forth, you have no work with me. Get out." Sho, mortified, rushed out quickly. The director then approached Yuya to thank him, saying, "He always thought himself strong and insulted everyone. Thank you for what you did." Mio also thanked him deeply, delighted that he had saved her. It seemed everyone had been suffocated by Sho's arrogance. Afterward, they offered Yuya a position as a model alongside them. They told him, "Do not worry, we will pay you a great deal of money." Yuya thanked them and replied, "Working with kind people who love and respect their work is a dream for me. But unfortunately, I do not yet have the means to keep up or commit to such a job." The director respected his decision and said, "Very well, but you shall take all these clothes as a gift in return for helping us." Yuya happily agreed, filled with joy, then bid them farewell and returned home. Mio and the director left as well in their car, though it was clear that Mio had fallen deeply in love with Yuya and cherished the day she had spent shooting with him. That evening, Yuya returned to his home, hung up his new clothes, prepared himself, and went into the forest to hunt monsters. At the same time, the princess and her soldiers were once again surrounded by beasts. The guards wanted to retreat, but could do nothing against the overwhelming numbers. The girl herself was cornered by a monster and nearly slain. Do you imagine she would die, my friend? Impossible. Yuya appeared from behind the beast and struck it down, crushing any creature that stood before him and rescuing the wounded soldiers. All were in awe of him. Suddenly, the girl stepped forward and said, "First, thank you for saving my life. Second, will you marry me?" What sweetness. Yuya was shocked. Her soldiers were shocked. And you and I are shocked, my friend. The captain of the guard cried out, "Marry? Are you out of your mind? And since when does a woman propose to a man?" But the girl did not remain silent. She stepped closer to Yuya and said, "From the very first moment I saw you, I loved you. Consider it love at first sight." She would have gone on, but Yuya brought them all to his house, cooked food for them, and they began introducing themselves. The girl revealed her name, Alexia, Princess of the Kingdom of Celia, and these were her soldiers. Yuya trembled upon learning she was a princess, and said, "Forgive me if I spoke too casually. I had no idea." But Alexia replied, "Think nothing of it." Then she drew closer again and asked, "So have you decided to marry me or not?" Yuya answered, "Your feelings for me make me happy, but I am not thinking about such matters right now." Alexia smiled and said, "You are right. Any love that comes too easily at the start has no flavor, but I will not give up on you. Let us start as friends instead. Will you agree to be my friend?" Yuya shifted slightly and replied, "It would be my honor." The princess rejoiced. They then decided to return to the royal castle. Meanwhile, Yuya had returned to his own world, dressed himself, and headed toward his school. Everyone who saw him on the street was enchanted by his appearance, until the entire street was filled with admirers, my friend. Yuya reached the school, and the teacher introduced him to his classmates. He entered, and everyone welcomed him warmly. Soon, physical education began. Yuya sat on the steps, watching. A beautiful girl named Kaede approached him and spoke with him, and he with her, as though he never missed an opportunity, my friend. Just then, a ball flew by mistake toward Kaede and nearly struck her. She screamed, but Yuya turned swiftly, deflected the ball away from her, and at the same time scored a goal. Everyone was astonished, realizing he was no ordinary student. Later, Yuya went upstairs to the second floor, where the teacher was giving a science lesson. Yuya, not understanding a thing, sat distracted, watching his classmates play outside. Kaori signaled to him, and he waved back. Suddenly, the Red Ogre gang stormed into the school, riding motorcycles. The teacher who had been lecturing panicked and declared, "Self-study session begins now," before fleeing. Even the principal was absent, leaving the students vulnerable. Kaori stood before the gang alone and demanded, "What are you doing here? How did you even get into the school?" They replied, "We are here to take revenge on you, for mocking us and for stealing our brother, bringing him into this academy which was our dream. And nothing could be sweeter than taking revenge on a girl like you," Kaori warned. "But the police will be here soon," they sneered. "It will take them time to arrive. By then, you will already have been kidnapped." Some gang members moved to seize her, while she stood helpless, not knowing what to do. Yuya, watching from the fourth floor, saw the scene but did not fully grasp it. He resolved to go to her aid, yet his legs trembled as memories of the bullying he had endured resurfaced. He nearly collapsed, the world spinning around him. But he slapped his face, regained his resolve, and said, "I am fine. I will stand and fight." He rushed to the window and leapt from it. The students could not believe their eyes. "It's the fourth floor, boy." But Yuya landed like a lion, breaking the bones of all who opposed him. He dodged every strike with speed. A brute blocked his way, saying, "Let's see how you escape from me." He charged with all his strength, but Yuya restrained him and declared, "Your time is up," before hurling him behind. Then Yuya moved to save Kaori, but the gang leader, enraged, charged at Yuya with his motorcycle. Yuya evaded, yet the leader was cunning. He circled around and nearly struck him, but Yuya leapt high into the air with incredible speed. The gang leader lost control of his bike and crashed. Officially, Yuya had single-handedly defeated the Red Ogre gang. Soon after, the police arrived and arrested them all. Kaori, overwhelmed, felt faint. Yuya rushed to her side and held her, and the girl was overjoyed. At that moment, Yuya's siblings were distressed, for they had been beaten. They cursed the Red Ogres loudly. The gang leader overheard, seized Yuya's brother, and began choking him. Yuya's sister tried to defend him, but he kicked her aside, knocking her down. The boy struggled, nearly suffocated, while no one dared to help. The leader pressed harder, until Yuya suddenly appeared, seized the leader with his hand, and tore him away. The gang leader rose quickly, ready to strike Yuya, but Yuya's single glare stripped him of all courage. Such overwhelming presence. The leader trembled in fear. Yuya's brother, gasping, asked him, "Why did you save me? I do not deserve what you did for me." Yuya answered, "I cannot abandon any member of my family. What matters is that you are safe now." The children wept, the scene profoundly moving. Days later, Yuya returned to the other world. He prepared himself to hunt monsters and raise his level. Gathering his gear, he ventured deeper into the forest, slaying many beasts. When his work was done, he organized his weapons and was about to leave when he suddenly heard the bark of a dog deep within the forest. He hurried toward the sound and found a massive boar attacking the helpless animal. Yuya checked the boar's stats. They were far higher than his own. He hesitated, wanting to help the dog yet feeling powerless. He nearly turned away, but the dog's cries pierced his heart. He thought, if my grandfather were here, he would never abandon it and walk away. Summoning his energy, Yuya hurled his spear with all his might at the boar and followed with his sword to finish it. But to his shock, the beast was already dead. The weapon was far stronger than he had imagined. Yuya rushed to aid the dog, gave it a healing potion, and its wounds closed. The animal stirred awake. Yuya asked, "What were you doing here? Why would you ignore all the other monsters only to fight a boar? Have you lost your mind?" The dog, embarrassed, could not answer. Yuya asked, "Do you have a family, a father or a mother?" The dog replied, "No." At that, Yuya decided to raise him and take him home. The dog was overjoyed. Yuya named him Naito, a fine name indeed. He brought him back to the house. Later, Yuya went to school, leaving Naito behind to guard the home. At class, his friends learned he had a new dog. Yuya asked them where he could buy food and supplies for it, and Kaidi offered to help. He was delighted. He bought everything he needed, returned home, placed a collar on Naito, and then went out walking proudly with his new companion. As they walked, everyone around gazed at them with admiration, saying, "What a beautiful dog! What a magnificent young man! Have mercy on us a little." While strolling, they happened to meet Kaori, who greeted them with great joy at the coincidence. Yuya introduced her to Naito, and she instantly adored him. At that very moment, Mio too was out walking, and spotted Yuya standing there. She approached to greet him, and upon seeing Kaori, everyone was introduced to one another. Yet because of Mio's fame, people began whispering and talking about them. Mio apologized and said to Yuya, "We will meet again another time." Before leaving, Kaori suddenly felt troubled, thinking Yuya might be in love with Mio. She asked him if they were in a relationship, but he replied, "No, we are merely friends." Her heart calmed, as though life had been restored to her once more. But suddenly, they heard an old woman crying out that a thief had stolen her purse and fled. Yuya quickly ordered, "Naito, after him, retrieve it." The dog dashed off at once. Yuya and Kaori hurried to the old woman to check on her. She was safe, but deeply saddened over her lost bag. Yuya comforted her, saying, "Do not worry, I will return it to you." At that moment, Naito returned, dragging the thief by the neck before everyone. Kaori took out her phone to call the police. The moment the thief heard this, he pulled out a knife, tore his clothes, and lunged at Kaori to kill her. But Yuya seized his arm, broke it, and pinned him down, saying, "Stay still, fool." The crowd watched in awe at his beauty and his strength, until the police arrived and took the thief away. Kaori thanked Yuya for saving her. The next day, Yuya and Naito began working together to fight the monsters they encountered. Their teamwork was excellent, and though Naito was small in size, he proved incredibly useful. Their strength and experience grew steadily, allowing them to defeat more and more beasts. Then came the moment when Naito faced a wild boar. He refused to let it go, and fought it alone until he defeated it. Officially, the hero Naito had avenged himself against the wild boar. They continued like this for some time, until Yuya decided to venture deeper into the forest in search of stronger monsters. Suddenly, he spotted a terrifying magical beast. The monster noticed Yuya in turn. Yuya muttered, "It seems you are in trouble now, boy. Will you flee?" "No. There is no choice but to fight." The battle began. Naito gave him a good opening, but the monster was no easy foe. It wielded both fire and water elements, allowing no one to approach. Yuya thought quickly, "Naito, create an opening for me, and I will seize it." Using his small size, Naito dashed around, distracting the monster. He was so fast that the beast could not keep track of him, unleashing flames and strikes everywhere in vain. The dog was swifter. Finally, Naito leapt and tore a piece from the monster's body. Yuya seized the moment, lunged, and struck it down, killing it. Together, the duo triumphed, and their levels rose higher. They said, "That is enough for today, let us return." But suddenly, a hidden cave appeared before them. Yuya decided to see what lay inside. They entered, and the torches lit by themselves, guiding them to the end where Yuya found a corpse and, beside it, a mysterious book titled The Hermit. Yuya opened it, and was astonished. The book spoke to him as if it were a person who knew his thoughts and desires, saying, "Wish for anything you want to learn, and all that pertains to you shall be written here." Yuya wished it to become a book of magic, and indeed, it transformed into one. Yet the book declared, "You cannot use this magic, for you are from another world and your body holds no magical circuits. Therefore, I shall grant you an additional gift, the Hermit's magical circuits, a national treasure and among the strongest in this world." Yuya could scarcely believe it, unable to comprehend what was happening to him. He returned home and attempted to channel his magical energy. He felt the circuits awaken and a new skill appeared before him, magic. He studied the subject from the book, then took Naito with him to test it. Imagining the spells as described, he successfully released them. Even Naito, inspired by Yuya, created magic of his own. They unleashed their spells upon the trees, shattering everything before them. Such power, their magic was truly formidable. Meanwhile, the captain of the guard reported everything to the king, including the shocking fact that his daughter had proposed marriage to Yuya. All were astonished, but when the king heard this, his anger exploded. He shouted and raged through the palace, furious, for he believed Yuya had seduced her. Yuya, unaware, had returned to school, lost in thought about magic and how to master it. Suddenly, the teacher interrupted his thoughts and announced, "We shall go on a camping trip for 4 days in the forest." She divided the students into teams of 4. Everyone was thrilled. Yuya's team included the blonde boy Kaidi and a girl named Kanzaki, who seemed destined to grow close to them, my friend. But then Yuya said he needed to buy a travel bag for his belongings. Once Kaida heard this, she said, "I will accompany you." The others quickly added, "We will not leave you two alone." And so, all 6 went together, including Kaori as well. After a short while, they arrived at the mall and found the travel bag they had been looking for. It was Kaori who had chosen it, and Yuya thanked her for her good taste. The girl was overjoyed. They then continued on their way to the game center. There, the bespectacled boy spotted a game he liked and wished he could win, though he knew he stood no chance. Yuya said, "Let me try." The boy stepped aside, and Yuya, using his keen sense, pinpointed the exact spot that would secure victory. Boom! He won it instantly. What magnificence! Does he leave anything for anyone else? Then Kaidi asked him to win her a prize too, and Kaori followed, unwilling to miss the chance. Soon everyone was asking him for toys, and Yuya won them all. They were delighted, their joy beyond measure. Afterward, they split into 2 groups. The girls went upstairs to browse clothing, while the boys sat in the cafe as usual. The atmosphere was calm, peaceful, and serene. But my friend, beauty never lasts long. Suddenly, the fire alarm rang, announcing a blaze on the upper floor. Yes, the very floor where Kaori and the girls had gone. The boys rushed upstairs as fast as they could and asked the supervising officer, but he knew nothing and could not recall seeing them. One of the boys called Kaide, who answered in panic, "We are trapped upstairs, the flames surround us, and we cannot escape." Before she could finish, the line cut off. Horrified, the boy relayed her words to Yuya. At once, Yuya shot upward like an arrow, ascending the stairs in a flash. Reaching the clothing floor, he found the fire raging on all sides. He thought frantically about how to save them, then suddenly exclaimed, "I've got it!" He unleashed a watery aura around himself, shielding him from the flames and allowing him to pass through them with ease. He pushed into the inferno, searching every corner for the girls. By then, all the girls had lost consciousness, except Kaori. She was writhing in pain, her oxygen running out, on the verge of fainting. She heard a distant voice, closed her eyes, and was about to collapse. But suddenly, Yuya caught her, saving her from falling. Using his powers, he checked whether anyone else remained, and discovered only the 3 of them. Could he carry them all through the flames? Of course. He lifted them, shielding them with his magic to prevent harm, and tried to escape through the right exit. It was blocked. He turned to the left. It too was sealed. Yuya looked beneath his feet and said, "You're the only way left." Gathering his strength, he smashed the floor beneath them, breaking through level after level until they reached the ground floor. What magnificence! The police, his friends, and everyone present stood stunned at his power, asking, "What is this, boy? How did you dig through all that?" But Yuya concealed the truth, replying, "The floors collapsed on their own." Soon ambulances arrived, covering the girls and treating them. Moments later, Kaori's father arrived, thanking Yuya for saving his daughter a second time. Kaori herself thanked him, overflowing with happiness. Her father embraced her warmly. Yuya watched, deeply moved, for he had no family of his own, no one to care for him. He returned home, torn between joy and sorrow. Yet as soon as he entered, Naito ran to him, leaping into his arms. Though only a pet, the dog's affection was truly heartfelt. The next day, Yuya entered the other world once more to discover new skills. He found the magic of Spatial Gate and mastered it, allowing him to transport himself anywhere in the forest within seconds. What magnificence! Later, Yuya and Naito explored a cave. 2 monsters attacked them, but Naito slew them within moments. They claimed their rewards and left. Yuya was about to return, saying, "That is enough for today," when Naito tugged him toward another path. The dog warned him, "Hide your presence." Yuya obeyed, watching carefully to understand. Before him, he saw a wounded girl surrounded by countless monsters, all ready to kill her. Yuya was about to charge in, but Naito grabbed his clothes as if to say, "Do not rush." Indeed, at that very moment, the girl unleashed her power and struck one of the ghouls, severing his arm. What were those strange threads she used? More ghouls attacked her again, but she fended them off, yet their numbers were overwhelming. She crashed against a tree and nearly died as the beast swarmed over her, ready to devour her. Do you think Yuya would allow anything to harm her, my friend? No. He leapt upon them and slew them in mere seconds. Any who faced him met their end. Behind him, Naito tore down the rest. But more monsters soon appeared, surrounding them from every direction. Would this change anything? No! Yuya shattered their bones and slaughtered the beasts within moments. He then carried the girl away, bringing her to his home to tend her wounds. On the way, she awoke in terror at finding herself in his arms and stumbled to the ground. Yuya approached gently and said, "Do not worry, I am no enemy. Take this medicine. You will be fine." At first she mistrusted him, wary of the potion. But once she realized he was her savior, she said, "Very well, I will try it." When she did, her wounds closed swiftly. Stunned, she gasped, "What an incredible remedy! Who are you? How did you make this?" Yuya introduced himself saying, "I am an adventurer, training here." She introduced herself as well. Her name was Luna. Yuya asked, "What were you doing in such a dangerous place? Surely you were not training." But Luna evaded the question, unwilling to reveal her true purpose. Naito disliked her and wanted to leave her behind. Yet Yuya, with his kind heart, brought her to his house. He prepared a hot bath for her, and after she washed, she felt comfort and relief. Impressed by his skill, she told him, "Come train with me in the forest. I will need your help." Yuya did not wish to involve himself, but he said, "Very well, so that nothing harms you again." Thus, he went with her, and they trained together. Their powers grew, especially Luna's, who seemed to have fallen in love with him, becoming deeply attached. After some days, the long-awaited school trip arrived. Yuya apologized to Luna, saying he had to return home. She was saddened, wishing he would stay by her side to train together and draw closer. But the farewell was inevitable. She bid him a gentle goodbye, and he bade her farewell as well. He returned to school and together with his friends, boarded the bus bound for the campsite. Upon arrival, the teacher gathered them in the hall and explained their mission. "Listen well. We are here in a place surrounded by mountains and trees, with a calm atmosphere. The camping trip will last 3 full days and nights. You will remain away from school with no prepared food, no games, and no luxuries. You must learn to depend on yourselves and hunt for your food." All the students grumbled, "We cannot do this. What if we gather poisonous ingredients and die?" The teacher reassured them, "Do not worry. If anything happens, the physician will treat you. Moreover, everything you gather will be displayed, and we will identify what is harmful and remove it. All you must do is work hard and manage." The students finally said, "Very well." They went out to begin camping. Yuya's team consisted of 4 members. They divided their tasks. Kanzaki and the blonde boy would build the tent, while Yuya and Katie would go fishing. They reached the lake, but others had already crowded it, leaving no place to fish. Kaide said, "No matter, let's look for something else to eat." But suddenly, Yuya spotted something. He used his power to sense a spot teeming with fish. Leading her there, Kaide was astonished. "So many fish, but the water is shallow. We cannot use rods here." Yuya said, "Do not worry. Leave it to me." He rolled up his sleeves, stepped into the water, and focused. Fish are like any living being. They have their escape routes. The moment they feel fear, they flee. I will predict their path and catch them in seconds. Boom! He snatched a fish with his bare hand. What magnificence! Then another and another, until both his hands were full. The students around could not believe their eyes. "What kind of hand is this, boy? How can you catch them like that?" Even Kaida laughed and said, "Enough! Leave some fish for the others." Yuya replied, "As you wish." Meanwhile, Luna was elsewhere, shattering training dummies and revealing her true nature. "I am an assassin. My emotions must not affect me. I must finish my mission. I failed once, but I shall not fail a second time. Wait for me, Yuya. My intentions are not kind, my friend." After Yuya's catch, Kanzaki was thrilled, in sharp contrast to the blonde boy who lay exhausted on the ground, unable to move. It seemed Kanzaki was far harsher than we imagined, my friend. Indeed, Yuya went to inspect their findings, ensuring everything was safe. He carefully removed all impurities and anything poisonous or dangerous from the ingredients. At last, the time for evaluation arrived. All the students stood and presented what they had gathered to the teachers, who would determine whether the ingredients were usable or not. Almost everyone had brought harmful or useless materials, except Yuya's team. They alone earned full marks. Even the teacher was impressed, saying, "Keep this up, and you will become the top team. But tell me, which one of you knows how to cook?" All of them pointed at Yuya. He had fallen into the trap. Yuya stepped into the kitchen and, true to form, transformed into a skilled chef. Such mastery! He finished his dishes and said, "Please, enjoy." They sat down to eat, but no one gave him any feedback, not even the teacher who had tasted the food. Yuya was puzzled. What is happening? Was it really that bad? Then suddenly they all exclaimed, "What brilliance! This fish tastes like shrimp. How are you such an artist? There is no one like you." Yuya's heart filled with joy, relieved that they loved the food, and the world felt right again. Afterward, he quietly used his teleportation magic to return home, where he prepared food for Naito. Thus ended his day. The next morning, Yuya was in the forest with his classmates after a difficult night. Some tents had been torn apart and belongings destroyed. No one understood what had happened. They assumed it was theft and dismissed it. They pressed on into the forest. Suddenly, the blonde boy spotted the truth. It seems a predator is nearby. We are doomed. Before Yuya could react, a massive bear appeared. The students panicked, running in every direction, smashing everything in their path. The bear showed no mercy. Yuya's team managed to escape, but the beast charged after the teacher, cornering her. She fell, about to be devoured, when Yuya leapt in and blocked the monster, giving her a chance to flee. The bear struck, but Yuya flipped it over and shattered its bones. How could this be? There must be something unusual. Even the teacher herself could not comprehend what had happened, but she thanked him for saving her life. Soon, the environmental police arrived, containing the situation, and the ordeal ended safely. Later, Yuya returned home. He ventured into the forest again to train, his strength increasing day by day until no one could match him. After slaying more beasts, he gathered his rewards. Among them was a helmet, which he wore as he continued training to raise his power. It was then he noticed Princess Alexia's carriage entering the forest. He smiled, greeted warmly by the soldiers who recognized him. The princess said, "Come with me, you are invited to the palace." Yuya did not understand but replied, "Very well." Suddenly, while everyone was present, Naito dashed toward Alexia. A tree came crashing down where she had been standing, nearly striking her, but Yuya realized Naito had saved her. The captain and the others, however, did not understand and thought Naito was the cause. At the same time, Luna was in the forest, frustrated that her threads had failed. She began walking back, but suddenly Yuya struck from behind, slamming her into a wall. Her mask fell, and Yuya recognized her, standing in confusion, unsure how to act. Alexia rushed over, saw her face, and from Yuya's expression realized he knew her. She asked him about it. Yuya replied, "This is my friend. I am certain something is wrong with her. Let me take her to my home, treat her, and learn her story." Alexia said, "Very well, but on one condition. I will come with you. I will not leave you two alone." What marvel! Yuya was surprised by her request, but agreed. He brought them both to his house. Luna lay unconscious, weakened by the blow, while Alexia turned to Yuya and asked, "How did you bring us here so quickly? That gate you opened was legendary, like instantaneous teleportation." Yuya replied casually, "Ah, it is just a technique I learned in passing." Alexia was shocked. "In passing? That gate is legendary. No one in the world knows how to use it except you. Do not ever tell anyone about this." Yuya, not understanding, simply said, "As you command." A little later, Luna awoke, knowing that after her attempted assassination of the princess, she would surely be executed. She could not speak at first, but Alexia showed no fear and said to her, "Tell me your story." Luna sighed and said, "Very well." She began to recount her tale. "I was an orphan, with no parents, living as a beggar on the streets. I had no food, no drink, and survived only by stealing scraps. One day, a man saw me stealing, and instead of punishing me, he was impressed. He took me in, taught me to read and write, and trained me as an assassin. He led me into the Guild of Darkness. I killed anyone they ordered me to kill, until finally I was given the mission to assassinate Princess Alexia. As you both know, I failed, and now I will soon die. But it matters not. No one will mourn me." At that moment, Yuya felt sorrow for her and said, "I am truly sad. Even though we have only spent a short time together, I have found comfort in you. You have become my friend, and I would never be happy if any harm befell you." Alexia suddenly interrupted them and declared, "And who said she would die in the first place? I am the one who decides here, and I have chosen that Luna shall not be executed. Instead, she will become my personal guard." Luna was stunned. "Your guard? My lady, I am the very one who tried to assassinate you moments ago," Alexia replied firmly. "The past is over. From this day on you shall be my personal guard. You will forget the Guild of Darkness. Do not worry, they will never reach you. You will always be safe." Luna could hardly believe the chance given to her. She was overjoyed at the thought of returning to a normal life like others. Yet deep inside, she could not forgive herself for the sins she had committed. Alexia held her hands and said, "Do not worry, you are now a new person. Forget your past. Everything ahead will be fine." Meanwhile, The royal guards were searching everywhere for Alexia, but could not find her, appearing utterly helpless. After some conversation among the three, Yuya felt hungry. He rose and prepared food for them. Luna, touched by his earlier words, pretended to be weak so that he would feed her by hand. Alexia too feigned frailty to taste his kindness, and so Yuya sat feeding them both one by one. What a blessing, my friend. The next day, the guards finally found Alexia. Yuya explained to them what had happened, and they also became acquainted with Naito. The atmosphere was calm and peaceful until one of them asked, "Who is this girl, Yuya? We have not seen her with you before." Alexia herself answered, explaining who she was, but the guards grew furious, raising their spears. "Then she must die. Anyone who attacks the princess is punished by death." Alexia spun on them in anger. "Silence! She is under my command now. I have appointed her as my personal guard." They protested. "Your guard? She may be deceiving you to kill you." Alexia snapped. "Kill me? We slept under the same roof last night. If she wanted to kill me, she had 100 chances. Lower your weapons immediately. I do not like to repeat myself." The captain obeyed, lowering his spear. Yuya apologized for the troublesome situation and added that, unfortunately, he was busy and could not accompany them to the palace that day. They were surprised by his refusal but said, "Very well. Complete your tasks. When you are finished, come to the palace. We shall be waiting for you." Then they departed, Luna going with Alexia to the castle. Yet suddenly, Luna stopped her horse, ran back to Yuya and said, "Thank you for everything you did for me. I will be waiting for you at the palace." She returned to her companions. Yuya did not understand what had just happened, but muttered, "So be it." Afterward, he went into the forest to bathe and change his clothes. There, he encountered a strange creature who confronted him, laughing. "What are you doing in my bath?" Yuya was astonished by its audacity, but managed to tame it and named it Akatsuki. From that moment, they became companions. Yuya returned to school, where the teacher announced their physical education lesson for the day, a soccer match. Yuya was chosen as the goalkeeper. Everyone thought him a weak boy who would easily let goals through. But against whom? Against Yuya? He blocked every attack with ease, then launched the ball far across the field, straight into the opponent's net. "Does that count as a goal?" the students cried out. Everyone was stunned by his power, yet greater things were still to come, my friend. Days later, Yuya was walking to school with his friends when suddenly a massive car pulled up. Out stepped a giant man, accompanied by his manager. The man said to Yuya, "We are a very large company. We have learned of your talent and have come to recruit you." Yuya was shocked by the offer and did not know how to respond. It turned out the same man who had photographed him at the mall before had carried his fame to the directors. The man believed no one could refuse their proposal. But against whom? Against Yuya? He smiled and said, "I am sorry. I am a man who loves his studies. I do not want a job alongside them. My life as a student suits me, and I do not wish to change it now. Even if your offer is wonderful, seek someone else." The manager was astonished by his refusal, then left in anger. That evening, Yuya prepared his gear and ventured into the forest to hunt monsters. He fought fiercely until he grew weary. His steps led him into a dangerous region where he encountered a colossal beast, the swamp boar, a monster no one had ever defeated. It charged at him with brutal force, striking him hard and hurling him against a tree trunk. Yuya tried to heal himself with a potion, but the beast knocked it away. He ran, desperate to survive, but could not escape. He felt his end had come and stood ready to die. Suddenly, the boar was struck from behind. Yuya turned to see his savior, an ordinary rabbit, standing tall, speaking in the language of men. "Do not fear," it said. "I will protect you now." The boar roared and attacked again, but do you think it could touch him? Impossible. With a single strike, the rabbit erased the monster from existence. Then it stood proudly, one leg crossed over the other, and said to Yuya, "You are wondering why I saved you, aren't you? Before I answer, I want to test the strength of your kicks." They obeyed without objection. Akatsuki stepped forward first, kicking with all his might. The rabbit scoffed. "So weak!" Then Naito kicked, but the rabbit was still unimpressed. Finally, Yuya took his turn. He kicked, and the rabbit smiled. "Yes, this is the strike I have been searching for. I have chosen you as my disciple. I shall train you until you reach true power." Yuya could scarcely believe what was happening, but he obeyed and began his training under the rabbit's command. Indeed, after 5 hours of training, the rabbit said to Yuya, "Enough for now. Prepare yourself to fight me." Yuya barely had time to respond before the rabbit struck, launching into a fierce battle. Yuya could hardly dodge his blows, while Naito and Akatsuki watched from afar, bewildered by what was happening. By sunrise, Yuya had exhausted all his strength and surrendered. He took the rabbit back to his home and asked, "Why are you doing this to me? It feels as though you are tormenting me, not teaching me. What is the meaning of this?" The rabbit smiled and replied, "I chose you to be my heir. The time of this world is drawing to an end. I have wandered the forest, searching for someone to inherit my fighting style. And when I found you, everything began. Yuya was astonished. Your heir? What power is this? How can you, a mere rabbit, possess such strength? The rabbit answered, I am no ordinary beast. I am a sacred beast. I wield the technique of the mighty kick, which I am now teaching you. My mission is to protect the earth from dark energies. There are more than 10 sacred beasts like me, each with their own style and disciples. Our sole duty is to maintain balance in this world and guard it from collapse. Today we live in peace, but if balance is ever broken, you will be the one to stand against it. Now rise. It is time you take your revenge on the boar that wounded you. Yuya returned to the forest to face the beast once more. He tried again and again but failed, running and shouting, nearly meeting his death. Naito and Akatsuki watched in distress, wanting to help, but the rabbit stopped them. No one intervenes. He must face it alone. Summoning all his power, Yuya hurled himself at the monster and finally brought it down. He screamed with joy at his victory. The rabbit rejoiced as well, and the rewards Yuya gained were magnificent. After mastering this mighty skill, his body transformed again. His strength multiplied many times over. The rabbit then said, my task here is complete. I shall leave now, and I will return another time. With that, he vanished. The next day at school came the time for sports examinations. Since everyone knew Yuya's strength, he was nominated for everything: table tennis, volleyball, even soccer. In every event, he dazzled them with his skill, and joy filled the grounds. At day's end, Yuya went out again with his friend. The atmosphere was wonderful, but my friend, do you think happiness lasts forever? That night, a girl lurked in the forest, watching the rabbit who had trained Yuya. She said, I hear you have chosen your heir. I came to kill you now, but what spared you was that heir. I will kill him first, burn your heart with grief, and then return for you. Wait for me. She vanished, leaving the rabbit uneasy for Yuya's fate. He resolved to go and warn him. The next day, Yuya was in his room with Kori, under the pretense of studying, though truly it was only an excuse to spend time together. During their session, Kori asked to go to the bathroom. As she left, she heard a strange knocking. She followed the sound and discovered the door that led to the other world. She did not understand what it was, but when Yuya saw her, he knew his secret had been uncovered and could no longer be hidden. He decided to tell her everything. Kori stood speechless as Yuya explained that this place was surrounded by a barrier that only opened by his will, and that in the other world he had learned magic and skills that gave him the strength to save her at the tower and defeat the bullies at school. Then he said, take my hand and let us enter together. He opened Kori's personal statistics and added, I know you may think I am a cheater because I obtained this power so easily, without suffering like others. Perhaps you will choose to leave me, but I wanted to tell you everything, to be at peace within myself. Kori reassured him. I have always seen you the same way. Your innocent gaze has never changed, and it never will in my eyes. Yuya was struck with joy and disbelief, unable to find words. She made him promise to take her on a tour of that world. The air between them was filled with happiness. Meanwhile, Alexia had reached the palace and told her father, the king, all that had happened, including Luna's attempt to assassinate her. The king flew into a rage and ordered Luna's execution, but Alexia defied him. If you do not stop, I will hate you. Shocked, the king fell silent and let Luna go. He sat afterward in sorrow, as the captain of the guard recounted the details. Yet when he learned that his daughter had spent a night at Yuya's house, he exploded with fury. My daughter spent a night in a strange man's home? He has seduced her. I must kill him. He raged like a child, blind to reason. At that moment, a masked man was plotting to kill both the princess and the king. He handed his servant a stone that nullified magic and said, prepare, tomorrow we finish everything. He did not know Yuya would also be there the next day. Indeed, after Yuya completed his training and battles, donning his usual gear, he headed to the royal capital. There, for the first time, he saw demi-humans. He then went to obtain a license to travel within the kingdom. He presented rare components to merchants, who were astounded. They did not even exist in this world yet. They bought them at exorbitant prices, leaving Yuya amazed. At last, he reached the palace. The captain of the guard received him, saying, the king awaits you. Yuya panicked. So suddenly? I am not prepared. I do not want to go now. The captain reassured him. Do not worry. It is only an informal visit. Yuya entered with the captain. They greeted the king, who seemed furious with him. The king asked, are you the brave youth who saved my daughter? Yuya answered, yes. Then, and are you the one who slew the monsters in the forest? He replied, yes. Then the king roared, and are you the dog who hosted my daughter in your home? Yuya, confused, muttered, yes? The king grew angrier still, though Alexia tried to calm him, shouting at him again, but he ignored her, like a stubborn child. Yuya then produced the gift he had prepared for Alexia. When the king saw it, he was shocked. You brought her a mattress and a bed? Do you know what this means? I must kill you. Yuya, bewildered, cried, I do not know, man. I swear I do not understand. But Alexia smiled, understanding everything, delighted at the gesture. As the king lunged at Yuya, soldiers appeared from all sides, surrounding them. They unleashed an orb that sealed magic, trapping everyone. It seemed the end had come, but do you think anyone could perish while Yuya was present? No. He activated his physical strength, charging at them, crushing their ranks. The soldiers attacked from every direction, but against whom? Against Yuya the Mighty, who crushed them with ease. He seized the artifact they had used. When the king and the others saw it, they recognized it at once. The meeting ended soon after, and all departed. Yuya remained standing there, wronged and bewildered, not knowing how to act. At that moment, Yuya tried to go to Alexia to check on her, and indeed she appeared before him and said, "What is wrong with you, young man? Why has your face changed like this? They already know my brother was behind what happened, and so they concealed the matter quickly. Do not trouble yourself. Come, I shall take you on a tour through the city." But Luna refused and said to her, "You are being targeted. You must remain in the palace so we can protect you. I shall be the one to accompany Yuya." Alexia countered, "No, I will go." In the end, they agreed that the three of them would go together, with the knight captain following behind. Feeling awkward as though he were being watched, they entered the Adventurers Guild, where Yuya filled out his registration form. They gave him a crystal to measure his magic. Luna assumed that Yuya was only physically strong, and that his magical power would be weak, but to their shock, Yuya shattered the crystal with his power. Everyone was struck speechless. Afterward, they went on a quest to gather herbs. During that time, the knight captain learned the prince's hiding place. He immediately took Yuya, and together they went to apprehend him. When they opened the door, the prince stabbed one guard with a knife and seized another, threatening to kill him if anyone approached. But do you think he could harm anyone with Yuya present? Impossible. Naito leapt, knocking him to the ground, and Yuya seized his arm and pinned him until he could not move. Everyone rejoiced, and the captain of the knights moved forward to restrain him. But suddenly the house shook, and a mysterious girl appeared. The prince rejoiced when he saw her and cried, "At last you have come. Save me." But she ignored him and said, "You have failed your mission. The fate of failures with me is death." She raised her knife, ready to end him, until Yuya intervened at the last moment. The girl grew angry and shouted, "Did I not say no one interferes?" She unleashed magical arrows from the void, striking at the guards, who barely managed to defend themselves. She mocked them, "You are too weak to face me. Take this blow instead." She launched an even stronger attack, but Yuya countered it with his own magic, blocking it successfully. Everyone praised his courage. The girl then turned to him and said, "You are Yuya, disciple of the sacred rabbit. I have been searching for you, but your strength needs to be tested. I give you 2 days, and after that, I will kill you." With that, she vanished. They returned the prince to the palace, bound in chains. He shouted at his father, "Why do you push me away like this? Do I disgust you? And you, Alexia, is my appearance still displeasing to you? Do you remember when your magic went out of control and struck me? It disfigured my body and burned me. And when you, father, learned that I could not be healed, you locked me away and left me alone, letting everyone believe I had died. I lived the worst days of my life, humiliated and scorned. But I remained alive for one reason only, to take revenge on the family that destroyed me. I was about to achieve my goal until you appeared. Now kill me and end my suffering." Yuya was deeply moved by his words, for he had endured the same suffering himself. He resolved to save him. He handed the guards a potion and said, "Heal him." When the treatment was given, the prince stood before the mirror, astonished to see his body restored. He could not believe his eyes. He wept as he thanked Yuya, while the king and the guards were stunned by the miracle. Yet despite this, the prince was still condemned to execution for his crimes. Here, Yuya intervened. "Forgive him." The king answered, "How can we forgive him when he tried to kill my daughter?" Alexia interjected, "And who else would he have wanted to kill but me?" The king said, "Yes," she declared, "then I forgive him." All were shocked, but the king could not refuse her decision. And so, the prince was pardoned. He wept with joy, grateful for his restored body and his release from punishment. Once more, he thanked Yuya for saving him. The king granted Yuya a great reward, estates, palaces, and 3 million in gold. At the day's end, Yuya returned to his room, exhausted, while Akatsuki and Naito watched over him. As he slept, he dreamed of the mysterious girl who had threatened him, standing over him, ready to kill. He awoke in terror, sensing disaster was drawing near. The next day at school, Yuya hurried out of class without speaking to anyone. Everyone noticed his worry, but none understood the reason for his strange behavior. Even Kaori observed it, realizing something was wrong. Indeed, the day before, Yuya had asked the prince about the girl who had threatened him. The prince told him she was a mysterious being of immense power. If she said something, she would fulfill it without fail. He warned Yuya to hide for the next 2 days, or she would kill him. Thus, Yuya went into the forest, training with all her might in preparation for her attack, unaware that she had already arrived. He quickly shielded Akatsuki and said, "It seems you have come to your death." She charged at him. He leapt high, but her strike sent him crashing to the ground. At that moment, Kaori had come to Yuya's home to check on him. She knocked repeatedly, but no one answered. Finding the door slightly open, she entered and discovered the portal to the other world. Without thinking, she stepped through and heard the sounds of fierce combat. She rushed toward them. Yuya was fighting the girl with ferocity, granting her no chance to rest. His body shone white as he used magical reinforcement to keep pace with her. At last, he struck her hard, hurling her to the ground. But she unleashed a devastating arrow that obliterated half the forest, showing she was not holding back. Kaori approached, recognizing that Yuya was the one fighting. Yuya too saw her and was startled by her presence. The girl noticed her as well and aimed her arrow at Kaori. Yuya darted forward, shielding her and taking the blow himself. His armor shattered, his power dropped, and the girl stood behind him saying, "This is your end." She loosed her arrow, but suddenly the rabbit master appeared. "Forgive me, Yuya, for arriving late. Come behind me, hero." The girl snarled, "So you have come. You have spared me the trouble of searching for you. Now I shall kill you both." Yuya still did not understand her hatred, nor her identity, nor why she attacked the rabbit. His master explained, "She is the disciple of the sacred archer. But after humans betrayed her and killed him, she embraced corruption, fueling her power with hatred to take her revenge. And to succeed, she must destroy all sacred beasts." Yuya finally understood. He rearmed his armor and said, "Very well." The battle ignited once more. The girl showed no mercy, unleashing arrows to kill Yuya, but Yuya struck with his sacred kick, splitting her attack. Naito bit into her leg, and the rabbit master struck her head, sending her crashing into the wall, but she did not yield. Enraged, she shouted, "If that is how it must be, then you shall die." She unleashed the full force of her hatred. Her body and the world around her transformed into something terrifying, unnatural. She attacked with fury. The rabbit master could no longer withstand her power and nearly fell. Yuya stood frozen, unable to move, as his master seemed on the brink of death. At that moment, Akatsuki finally revealed his power for the first time. He unleashed blue flames that engulfed the battlefield. The moment they touched the girl, her transformation dissolved, purging her of the dark power. The master seized the chance, struck her with a mighty blow, and knocked her unconscious. Seeing Akatsuki's strength, he felt assured she would no longer harm them. He then bid Yuya farewell and departed. Yuya lifted the girl and said softly, "Do not worry, I know you seek vengeance for your master, but from now on, I shall care for you, and I will not allow anyone to harm you." Kaori had also arrived at the scene. A monster was about to kill her, but Yuya hurled his weapon and slew it instantly. He then set the unconscious girl down and went to Kaori. Looking into her eyes, he said, "This is my life, filled with battles, bloodshed, hardships, and endless struggles. I know you must be afraid of me now. There is nothing I can do about it." "I am sorry, Kaori," she replied. "Do not apologize, hero. You were the first to save me, the one who stood by me despite everything I know of you. I trust your kind heart. Even if the world calls you a cheater or a villain, I will always stand by your side. I already love you." Yuya's heart swelled with joy. He answered that he loved her too. The moment was filled with peace and serenity. And so our story ends. The girl awoke, reconciled with them all. Yuya built her a home and provided all she needed. Life returned to beauty and calm. And thus the anime concluded, as you have seen. I await your thoughts in the comments. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Until we meet again.